Okay, our New Year's resolution was to start the meeting on time. We missed it by 2 minutes tonight. Other than that, roll call.
Mr. Adams? Here. Julia Tamarki-Kukrow?
Present.
Mr. Harley?
Here.
Dr. McCombie?
Here.
Dr. Rigg?
Here.
Dr. Schaefer? Mr. Steve?
Here.
Mr. Schroed?
Here.
Mrs. Thomas?
Oh, Mrs.
Here.
Okay,
There he is.
Quintina is joining us online this evening. Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for coming. I do have a board president message. As most of you all know by now, the renovation, restoration, and reconfiguration of our Eisenhower Elementary School to house both fourth and fifth grades is well underway. When the decision was made to rebuild Eisenhower as an intermediate school, it was done so primarily for academic reasons with little or no consideration as to the ultimate impact it would have on the Horace Mann building. At this point in time, we can project that the current use of Horace Mann will, in all probability, end in the next 12 to 18 months, pending the completion of construction and the potential move-in dates at Eisenhower. This now defines a time frame for the district to determine the next first best use of the Horace Mann building. Although the board at its discretion may define other conceptual scenarios for the next use of Horace Mann, the three most likely concepts this board will need to evaluate are continued exclusive use of the building to support our academic and student support programming, a joint use venture with IASD and some other outside agency or entity, and number three, the transference of the building to another entity or group. It is my understanding that prior to the board even having any discussions on either concept 2 or 3 as noted above, an Act 780 hearing must be held. A 780 hearing is a very rote prescribed process as defined by the PA School Code. The purpose of motion 7.4 under section 7 of tonight's agenda is to formally and publicly start this process by authorizing our solicitor and our superintendent to prepare the necessary documentation, as well as to set a timetable in order to schedule the Act 780 hearing. The scheduling of an Act 780 hearing will require formal board motion. I would request that the solicitor and the superintendent be prepared to support a board motion at the January special meeting scheduled for January 22nd, 2024, for the formal adoption of a motion authorizing the Act 780 hearing. I've also asked our solicitor to brief the board and the public tonight on the requirements as well as the ins and outs of an Act 780 hearing during our board discussion under the above motion 7.4. Given the relatively short time frame of 12 to 18 months as noted above, concurrently, I would ask that the Academic and Extracurricular Committee begin the process sorting out the top several academic or student support services that Horace Mann could be used for. Subsequently, turning those options over to Audit and Finance Committee to determine the financial viability of each option, and then again to Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee to determine whether Horace Mann has the facilities to support these new missions, and if not, what alterations would be necessary. After this Act 780 hearing, the board can then, through its various committees, begin the discussions on concepts 2 and 3 in order to make an informed determination of that next first best use of the Horace Mann building. I do want to emphasize that there have been no discussions at the board level pertaining to that next best use, but this tonight is the start of that process. Thank you. Okay, do we have some public comment? Kathy,
Yes.
hang on a minute for the mic.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kathy Schlamer, and for those who may not be acquainted with me, I'm a former math teacher who retired from Indiana Senior High in 2013 after serving in the district for 34 years. I'm here this evening to talk with you about the big retirement dinner that used to be held to honor retiring district employees every spring. Guests would include current retirees, current employees, former retirees, and so on. As some of you may know, in 2020, due to the COVID pandemic, the retirement dinner was canceled. It was also omitted in 2021 and 2022, presumably still due to health concerns. Last spring in 2023, it was still not reinstated. When I asked around to see when this dinner was going to resume, I was informed that Mr. Vukovich had said he was too busy, and when implored by IAEA, he only responded with, "Thanks for the feedback." How disheartening. I believe that the dinner needs to be reinstated, and that's why I'm here this evening. The same retirees who never received a district level celebration are the same employees who served during the COVID crisis. These are teachers who had a normal school day on Friday, March 13th, 2020, and instantly became cyber teachers on Monday, March 16th, 2020. I realize that this was a time of great stress for most of us, but what do we think it was like to reinvent one's career in a weekend? Whether this was the final year of one's career or was a bizarre year somewhere in the middle, I can tell you just from observing and talking with my former colleagues that they had to work extra hard to invent new paradigms for teaching, to create completely new ways to engage, encourage, and evaluate students. Just for example, it was incredibly difficult, but they forged on through it for as long as it took. It was not what they signed up for, but they did their best and carried on. But the retirees were also cheated out of their retirement celebrations. The cost to the district for retirement dinner has always been minimal, as IAEA pays for the retirees and their plus ones. Previous retirees and current employees who attend pay for their own meals. The district has paid for rental space and perhaps meals for board members and administrators. They also stopped providing any retirement gifts a number of years ago. Thanks so much. It's not too late for us to celebrate and honor our retirees who fought their way through the pandemic. We need to celebrate our outstanding educators who have devoted their careers to our children and to our community. We need to invite back the retirees from 2020 through 2023, as well as our retirees from this spring 2024. And we need to have a big celebration. We need to invite back the former retirees as well as the current employees. I know it will be an effort. On the other hand, it's the right thing to do, to celebrate and to thank our excellent teachers. I'm not offering to be in charge, but I'm willing to help, and I have retired teacher friends who I know will help too. Please reinstate the annual district-wide retirement celebrations. Our teachers deserve it.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay.
I have a copy of the remarks if people need that. I don't know if you do so.
Thanks. Okay.
I think I have it.
We should probably at least have one for the administration,
Yeah.
Kathy.
Here comes some. I made a lot. Here comes some. I probably made too many. 1, 2, 3. Make sure I'm sending enough. There might be an extra one.
By the way, I'll, break in the action. Is it possible, Mr. President, get a copy of your remarks?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody here from IAEA, ASME, SGA, Stuka? No one. Okay, as far as the Indiana Free Library goes, I do want to thank Quintina Thomas, our new board member. She has graciously volunteered to take that slot for us. So next time, Quintina, we'll let you in on that. Okay, solicitor's report. I'm sorry, superintendent's report.
With respect, I will
hold my comments till the presentation time.
Okay, solicitors report.
I was saying, Mr. President, do you want me to wait until the 7.4 item? and I
Yeah,
can speak on that
wait,
matter?
wait for that, for your briefing
Yep.
on that, but if you have any other information for us tonight, go ahead with
No,
that.
it's, I can wait.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, we're down to item number 2, presentation. Rod?
Okay, as you may or may not know, January is School Board Appreciation Month. And I wanted to take a minute on behalf of the entire ISD staff to express sincere and heartfelt thanks and appreciation for everything that you all do. And for the community who don't know, being a school board member is difficult work. It's much more than just this meeting that you see here. They spend a lot of hours on research and reading page after page after page of supporting documentation and appendices that we get for them, and ask questions about those things. It is a serious time commitment. And they do it all without pay. Not one person here of these 9 get a single cent to do this every Monday night. And it's tireless, selfless. It's a tireless, selfless commitment. And it oftentimes is a thankless one, because you make a lot of decisions as a school board member that, regardless of the outcome, are going to upset someone. And it's tough. And I just wanted to take a second to say, that I honestly and truly do appreciate everything that you all do, because I know it's not easy. And I know that everyone else and the administrative staff and all the teaching staff agree with that as well. We may not always like what you decide, but we respect the decision that you make, and we understand that you have a really, really tough job. So from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everyone, thank you for the commitment and the sacrifices that you make and the work that you do. Everyone in this room, I know, takes it very seriously and really puts in the time and effort and are very, very engaged. So, and that's a blessing. And that is something that not every district enjoys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everyone. I had some written remarks, but then I just kind of went off on a tangent there. So, but as we celebrate,
Good, it was shorter.
as we celebrate School Board Appreciation Month, let's take a minute to take this opportunity to express our gratitude and admiration for these people who work hard to shape the educational foundation of this community. And that's really what you've committed to do. And that's so important. The school district is the heart of the community that pumps out the lifeblood of, the next generation. The work that you do is invaluable and very, very important. So thank you very much. We have a few recognitions here for you. Just if I wanted to take a second to recognize each and every one of you. So Mr. Chris Adams, thank you very much. It's only an invaluable piece of artwork. We'll fix it.
Oh, you didn't know that. No. I don't know. It's just.
We're gonna blame Justin.
Good, Justin. Do you want
Dr. Sal McCombie. Mr. Doug Steve. Mr. Tom Harley. Dr. Sue Reed. Ms. Julia Tremarky-Kukrow. Mr. Walter Schroep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The other board members who are absent this evening will also get theirs and be recognized in an appropriate.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, those are the PSBA people.
Finally.
And yeah, Miss Quintina Thomas is online, so. And again, thank you, and happy School Board Appreciation Month. The other thing on my agenda is this coming Monday, January 15th, this Saturday, I promised the NAACP that I would mention that they have their celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At the church. I promised I would not forget what church it was.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I will look it up and let you know. But but there is a celebration this Saturday afternoon at the, I want to say Greystone, but it's not Greystone. I'll look it up and let you know. Then on Monday, do you know where it is?
Greystone.
Is it Greystone? I had it in my head. So Greystone, the Greystone
Well,
Church.
he knows everything.
So if you can attend, they have a great speaker coming in. It's a nice celebration. Some of our students will be there to make some remarks on the Reverend King and his contribution to society and how his words are relevant here today. I was fortunate enough to be asked to speak at the last Indiana Voices of Equity organization, which is run through by Michelle Jordan and the ARC, on a very similar topic. So we all participated, and it was nice to hear so many people come together and talk about, the relevance of Dr. King's message of love and nonviolence and cooperation and trying to find middle ground everywhere, which was so important. I mean, you think about all the stress we deal with and the division we deal with, and it's nothing compared to what Dr. King and his colleagues dealt with. And if they can do it, we can do it. We can find some middle ground. And I think that's very important. So please, take a second to try to figure out a way to celebrate Dr. King and his legacy this weekend. On Dr. Martin Luther King Day, we are having the countywide in-service, which is a cooperation between 6 of the sending schools and the ICTC and the Aaron IU. And we all come together, we share resources, we pool our resources, and we organize a learning conference. And we have over 720 people, educators, coming to the junior high school to take part in this day of learning, which puts us in one of the top 10 largest education conferences in the state, which is just incredible for this little county to pull that off. I want to thank Aaron IU. I want to thank Sue Griffith for all her work. I want to thank all the other superintendents for their time and commitment to this process. I want to thank Bridget Mattson, the director of the IU, for her work. And I want to thank Justin and Tara and Jared and Attorney Repack, and especially Anise Markle and Laura Cravens and Holly Hartman and Lisa Emfield and the people whose names you may not know yet, because they're the behind the scenes people who have just tirelessly and passionately poured themselves into making this day possible. I'd like to invite you all to attend. The board members, if you can attend, you should come and see what we've done and what the county can do when we put our minds to it. We have 2 nationally renowned speakers with Mr. Jimmy Cassis, who is an author and former educator and former education administrator, who's now a national speaker. And then we have Greg Baer, who wrote the book, When You Wonder, You Learn, which is based on the teachings of Mr. Rogers, and, but for grownups, and how it's still relevant and meaningful today. So those 2 bookend several learning sessions that are presented by either expert speakers like Attorney Repack himself. We have the Director of Bureau of Education from PDE, Mr. Brian Campbell, is coming to speak. We have representatives from PSBA coming, from PASBO, from all across the state. We have experts, and then we have many of our local educators, teachers, and administrators providing sessions as well. So I will send you all an email with all the sessions you can choose from and what times. Please come listen to the keynotes if you can, attend a session or 2, say hi to some of the people and just enjoy what this county has produced, because it's very impressive, sir.
I want to make a comment. This was started, I think, 3, maybe 4 years ago, this countywide in-service day. And it started off with just 1 or 2 districts, and it has grown to 720 people. And I think that's a phenomenal growth rate. And again, a credit to Mr. Vukovic for starting it, Mr. Heinrich, and his entire central office staff for continuing that good work and expanding and growing it to where it is today. And for that, Rob, I think you deserve a round of applause.
That round of applause is for the people behind the scenes, because they do all the work. But thank you very much.
I think the
appreciate
first one was held at the KCAC.
That was a safety symposium that Mr. Vukovic put on, which was a similar kind of event. But yeah, that was very large too. Yeah, it was a great event.
So, okay, thank you. And I'm sure some of us will take advantage of the opportunity.
See you there.
All right, we're down to item number 3, approval of the minutes and the agenda. Moved
Second.
in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on agenda and/or the minutes? Nothing heard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, board reports. I'm up first with ICTC. We had a meeting before the holidays. Mr. Worthington, the principal there, reported that the ICTC is scheduling tours of their programs for all the member school districts. Most of the districts will send their ninth graders. Unfortunately, River Valley is only sending 12 students. Mr. Worthington also mentioned that the ICTC comprehensive plan will be submitted to the state relatively soon. The audit report, however, will not be returned until sometime early this year. Information on the following was presented. The PAC/JOC meeting schedule, alternate JOC and superintendent list, draft annual financial report, budget transfers, and fund balance for capital expenditures, as well as student club officers. They received several donations, and they're also sending, and this I think is really interesting, 23 students to the various skills competitions. And in part of our discussion revolved around River Valley hiring a lobbyist to help them in their efforts. Okay, Aaron, Sue, you're up.
Yeah, no report. We haven't met since my last report.
Okay, outreach. I guess you're back up again since Jim wasn't here.
There's
Oh, no,
We
I'm
didn't have
sorry.
an
I'm
outreach?
sorry. No,
there's been
no outreach. Okay.
Could we ask though that maybe that committee take a look at what Kathy Schlimmer suggested tonight? Maybe that would be a good committee
Yeah,
to
yes, we
consider
can.
that.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, and no library report as Quintina's not made it there yet. PSBA,
I have a short report, and it's just from things that I gather from the emails and the website. But one of the things I want to talk about, we know the new board members must attend a training. Aaron has that training January 22nd and 23rd evenings, but we have a meeting, and just to bring that to your attention, it's your decision whether you go or not, but it is conflicting with our meeting. There is one here, and we know about this. These are reminders. We are having a training here on April 27th at our high school, and it's from 9 to 3. And all the agendas for all these first board member trainings are the same. They follow the same agenda. So that's an option for us as well. There are also online options. I mean, you can go on and do an online class, and it is like Saturday, and you're going to take up most of your Saturday, and they're free. So you just go into the PSBA website, and you can register for those. If you don't like online learning, there is another one, and you don't want to wait till April 27th. There is another one at Richland School District on February 10th in person, once again, following the same agenda from 9 to 3. Now, remember, you can just register on your own on the PSBA website. Okay, so if you have not new members, and Quintina as well, I hope she can hear me. If you have not registered for your My PSBA, you were sent a username and then you put your password in, and you get special, you can get into your own PSBA website, and it will track your trainings that you do and keep your hours. So your information, your username, the first board members were sent on December 14th. So if you want to retrack back, if you haven't done that, there's your password. Quintina, yours should be coming soon, or maybe you already received it. Okay, so one of the things that, and sometimes I think I'm going to have Rob tell me if I shouldn't be reporting on these types of things, because I feel like sometimes I still have the teacher in me and I want to teach something. But one of the things that was on was that about cursive writing. And I was sort of out of the loop whenever cursive writing started to fall away from the schools. But there's a PA lawmaker that wants to mandate, and he's a state representative. His name is Joe Adams. He wants to mandate cursive writing again. And there are 21 states in our country that actually mandate cursive writing. So, but it's not for the reasons that we would think, kids should know how to write. It's that there's all this research that the act of cursive writing for young children actually stimulates the brain in very positive ways. And they did this one study, and it's a very long study. You can click on the link. If you go to the article, you actually click on the link. But they measured a child's brain, and they had them write, and it stimulated the brain in a positive way. Artwork as well. Drawing does the same type of stimulation. So they didn't see much difference between the cursive writing and the artwork, but computer keyboarding did not do the same type of stimulation of the brain. Now, this would have to be taught at a very young age, because once, like our kids in high school, they're not going to learn how to cursive write, right? They don't know how to cursive write. But it's too late. Like, the learning curve is better when the children are really young, like in the first, second, third grades. Even, well, they usually start cursive writing around third grade, I think, correct?
Second was when I
Second
taught
grade.
second, we taught it.
Right,
second.
right. So I don't know, it was just so interesting to think that the art teacher is doing the same type of thing when he has the children or she has the children draw.
I think in the district, third grade teachers are doing some cursive writing, I believe now.
There's some, but it's
I think
it's
some, but
limited.
I didn't know, 'cause I-
It's sporadic,
It's
yeah.
sporadic and
Okay.
limited. It's not as detailed.
Some, yeah.
But they said even 10 minutes of practicing cursive letters helps that brain stimulation. And I think we have to think about the children's brains and all the things they're going through in their life, but it's actually a very positive thing. Like I say, it has to be done early. You know, we teach foreign languages in the high school, and that's common in the United States, but they're past the critical language learning theory. You know, we really should be teaching that in the elementary schools along with the cursive writing, because once they reach high school, how many of you can speak your language that you took in high school? I took 4 years of French, and I can't speak French. But it's sort of
Sprechen
like
Sie Deutsch,
get these
bitte?
children young. Sometimes, you know, and I know teachers have so much to teach now. And it was a casualty of the Common Core. When the Common Core standards came out, that was the casualty, the cursive writing fell away at that point.
Sally, that whole issue of cursive writing is a really interesting one. Some of the aspects you brought up, some of the more common myths or whatever. You know, I think, you know, with the committees the way we have them, that's certainly one that the academic could certainly take a look at if that's something, especially if the administration feels that it's worth pursuing.
Right, you know, I thank you. I think we could discuss that in our committee.
Can we just add on to that? So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I read that article too. Do we, and this is a question because I don't know the answer, do we teach like basic, like checkbook balancing and skills like that
Personal
for
finance.
kids? Is that universal?
Yes.
But it's
Yes,
not
it's-
mandatory. I mean,
Yeah.
not personal finance, but there's an on your own course, but
Right.
it touches upon it.
It touches,
Yeah.
okay. Because I know that's one of the things that I see in banking now, like with kids that are coming out, you know, when you're looking at trying to maintain an account.
Yeah.
is-
That could be something else we discuss. I agree with
Yeah.
that 100%, because then they're not ready to live on their own.
Well, you
but
have
I-
overdraft fees and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And credit card, the dangers of
Oh
credit
my
cards.
gosh. yeah.
And we're really getting off the topic, which I know everybody loves. But
Yes, Sally, we are getting
we don't- we
straying
don't-
from the topic.
we don't teach that. That course used to be mandated, the on your own course, but I don't think it is for
And I'm going to
graduation.
defer to Mr. Johnson, but I believe a few years ago, we changed it to personal finance became
Okay,
become a math credit.
Personal finance still can count as a math credit. It's not a mandate that students have to take it. The course on your own is now career and work readiness. So,
That's right.
And part of the reason that for the changes, it went from a ninth grade class to, or ninth and 10th grade class to an 11th and 12th grade class, but it's still a mandate that every student
still
has to take. It covers a lot of life skill type examples like that. I don't know that it necessarily hits them all in the depth that we would probably like them to, but it does try to cover a large range. And even like one example that the reason for the move was like resumes or something that were covered in ninth grade. But as a ninth grader, I don't think you have fully offers the opportunity to really use your resume. So a lot of those kind of move up to the higher grades, because that is where a lot of that is covered.
that's right. Now, Sarah Jewert and Mr. Perkovich teach that, I believe. Is that right? They were on the radio station.
Sarah, yeah, well, Sarah and Sarah Jewett and Joe Perkovich do work together for our career readiness team.
Okay, but that's not the same
Where that came
thing.
from. And Sarah teaches most of this class, but that's an FCS class.
Yeah, see, it's a family consumer science class.
Yeah.
We teach all the important.
Yeah, we are kind of getting away from the PSBA report,
Yeah.
and
Hey, I'm using this you guys wanted me to be a PSBA rep.
Well, we want you to
No one
report.
else volunteered. It's my,
we-
I found a way in. Do you have anything to add to the PSBA report?
Absolutely not.
Take a hint, Sal.
Okay,
All
I'm
right. Sue, it looks like we are down to you now in academic committee.
Hey, before I say, he gets off track too. You don't yell at him.
Not yet.
He's gonna have to read you.
I gotta end that out.
For academic committee, we haven't had a meeting yet. Our meeting is next Monday and before at 5:30. But we do have some things that we need to address on the agenda. First is 5.2 student disciplinary agreements. Based on the recommendation of the administration, the board approves student disciplinary agreements for student 2324-3 and 2324-4 as submitted.
Second.
Okay. There's really no discussion on this. Any questions from the board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Was that an opposition?
That was an aye.
Hi.
Oh.
Bettina.
5.3, there are two out-of-state field trip requests. The first one is high school varsity baseball team for approximately 21 players and 4 coaches to Cocoa Beach, Florida to practice at the Space Coast training from March 13th through March 17th at no cost to the district. The second is a field trip request from the varsity softball team for approximately 18 to 22 players and 2 coaches to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, to participate in the Cal Ripken Experience from March 13th through March 17th, again at no cost to the district.
Second.
It moved in second.
These are annual events that have happened for many, many years. So that's why they weren't really discussed at the academic committee. I felt comfortable bringing them to the board for your approval.
Okay,
Both of these allow both of these teams to get games in that count prior to the weather up here breaking. So rather than trying to play when it's 32 degrees on some mountaintop somewhere, they're able to play. They also have practice fields and pitching mounds and things. So these are truly an immersive event for the 4 or 5 days they're there.
It's like spring training.
It's
for us.
spring training, and plus they get to get a couple, at least a couple, maybe 3 games in that count.
That's cool.
Which
Absolutely.
Are you going along?
it's really wonderful as opposed to playing your first Whippeal game when your outfielders get out there the first time and you're finally outside and it's sleeting.
Can't tell the ball.
There's snow.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The umpire brushes the snow off of home plate. Further questions or comments on these 2 field trips?
I would like to congratulate the boosters of these 2 groups of putting this together and
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
making sure that both baseball and softball could participate.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Or the motion carries.
5.4 under affiliation agreements, we're only going to take the first 2 because we have not received the final last one yet. So that the board approve affiliation agreements for St. Joseph's University for field experience for a period of 2 years and Emerson College for field experience for a period of 1 year.
Second.
Moved in second. Rob, anything you'd like to add to this?
No, these are pretty standard agreements that the district enters into with any institution of higher ed that wants to have someone have a field experience in our buildings, just the legal minutia behind making that happen, sir. So,
Okay, further questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now you're back up again, Sue. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Policy and personnel, we met at 5:30 this evening. We had 2 main agenda items. The first one, we looked at the revisions. We had the first read of the revisions of policies. 246, which is the school wellness. 815, which is acceptance use of internet, computers, and network. and policy 819, suicide awareness, prevention, and response. And we will be voting on that first read here coming up. Secondly, we talked about the structure of the school principals and operational principals of the buildings throughout the district and learned that this is a temporary placement right now until Eisenhower is open, and then we'll revisit the structure. So I'd like to take 6.2 on its own. Based on the recommendation of administration, Lee Manning be employed as a support mentor teacher at a compensation of $705 per semester or $7.58 per day based on his appointment date.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
And I'd like to take 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5 together as those are 3 resignations. First one is professional personnel. Certainly with regret, we accept the letter of resignation from Candace Lockard, junior high social studies teacher. With regret, Angela Petroff, Ben Franklin elementary teacher. With regret, Cheney Woodring, who is our buildings and grounds supervisor, effective July 5th. And then we have a resignation for personal reasons of an LPN at Madison Park.
Second.
Are these resignations or retirements?
They're retirements, but if you read the
I
agenda,
thought
it's
they
actually,
were retirements, both of them.
yeah, the teacher
Teachers
and
and
Cheney
Cheney are retirement.
are all retirements.
It says resignation.
Due
Due to
to
retirement.
retirement.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I'd
I
like to,
see.
I mean,
Okay.
it's gonna be tough to replace the teachers, well, all the people
Oh.
there, but the teachers, and I think as a district, I think we need to turn this trend of teachers retiring early before their times are due, and
I agree, I'm crying.
I think we need to get this
These
district
teachers.
back in the right direction, so they don't do
Wonderful
that.
Teachers.
Okay, additional,
Are we in the discussion? I didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I did want to take a second to thank and make a couple comments, especially about the teachers. A lot of teachers, come and go and do their job. There's some teachers that are leaders. Candace Lockard and Angie Petroff have both been leaders.
Yeah.
And they've stepped up and really done everything that's been asked and then some, time and time again. These losses are definitely taken with regret. So I just wanted to thank them publicly for all that they've done. I really appreciate it. Of course, Mr. Woodring, he comes and he's part of these meetings a lot of times. So can't thank him enough for his service, and wish them all well in their retirement.
any other questions, comments, or discussion?
I know when I look down, I don't know Cheney Woodring or Madison Kirk. I'm sure they're awesome, and I've heard that we're going to really miss them. I know Angela Petroff, for one. I think my daughter Athena went through her classroom and just thought the world of Mrs. Petroff.
I agree.
And so she, still to this day, when she sees her,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see Athena light up with Mrs. Petroff. And with Mrs. Lockard, I know my son Trey, and I think a couple of my kids had Candace, and she's an amazing, not just teacher, but then also with the cross country program, all that she gave to our school. It's a big gap, with both these guys. So they're obviously they've contributed a ton to the school district.
That's nice that you noted that.
Absolutely.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Motion's carried.
6.6, based on the recommendation of administration, the board employs John Phillips as a long-term secondary English substitute teacher, effective as soon as the certificate is issued and continuing until the last teacher day of the 2023-2024 school year at a per diem rate of $267.27. That's at the instructional step 2 level. Be approved pending receipt of all required paperwork.
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments, or discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
6.7, school psychologist interns. Based on the recommendation of administration, the board approves the hiring of 2 school psychologist interns for the 2024-2025 school year at an estimated cost of $20,000 for these positions.
Moved in second.
This is a great partnership we've had with IUP. And their psychology department, their school psych department does a great job. We need to get approval from you now so we can advertise at IUP for any of the students that would like to apply. So we have a grant. Justin was able to secure a grant, and Tara was working on a grant as well to get from students that are out of state to come. So we have some money to pay for this, but we do need your approval so we can advertise sooner rather than later, so we get good candidates. We've had great candidates in the past. We expect no less next year.
Okay. Further questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
And if there are no objections, I'd like to take 6.8, 6.9, and 6.10 together for consent. 6.8 is the wellness agreement with Indiana Regional Medical Center to provide support and implementation of the district's wellness program. A committee appointment that, based on the recommendation in accordance with our policy number 005, Terry Kirby added to the Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee as an official member, and that the first read of the board policies that I mentioned earlier be approved.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on these three motions?
I'd like to thank Terry for considering and certainly welcome his help on specifically on the Eisenhower project, so that he's willing to stay with us for a few more years. So he's on the call, so I thank him.
Oh, good. Yes, thanks, Terry. Appreciate it. Anything else from anybody? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's carry.
6.11, Principles for Governance and Leadership. That the board adopts the principles for governance and leadership established by the PSBA. With two thoughts here, we are going to schedule a board self-assessment. We haven't done one in the past couple of years. And also Rob is going to share with us the goal setting that happens, so we can make sure that we're focused on the goals of the district.
Second.
Oh, good.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to find out if that, get some clarification on both of those and make sure that we come back with some good resources for us.
Good deal. Okay, questions, comments, or further discussion?
Here they are. It's just the form.
On the back?
Is that on the back? It's not.
This is all I got. That's the board. I've never seen a picture of him. Isn't that the?
No, behind you, Julia.
No, I know,
Oh,
but I'm saying.
you don't have one in, there wasn't one in the,
This is amazing. I just want to point that out that we see them.
oh, okay.
Okay.
They're the ones who.
All right.
They look like students.
All right, any further question or discussion on governance and leadership? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
6.12 is a substitute list that, based on recommendation of administration, the board approves the nurse and custodian substitute list as submitted.
Second.
Moved in second. Rob, anything you want to add on?
No, so that's just a standard operating procedure. When we have substitutes added to the list, the board must approve by policy, so that, once we have two nurses and I believe one more custodian that's been added.
Very good. Further questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries.
And finally, 6.13, extra duty, extra pay, that the board approves the following extra duty, extra pay assignments for the 2023-2024 school year. Assistant track coach junior high at $2,500, Rachel Farrell, and the second one, Michael Gray.
Second.
Okay, questions, comments, or discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Was there, I thought I saw another. I must not have. I thought there was another substitute for the Paulson personnel. Oh, never mind. Okay, Tom, go ahead with buildings and grounds.
No committee report. Jason, do you have anything on update on Eisenhower? I don't have a report.
Construction is well underway. We haven't had a construction meeting since before the holidays, but we do have one tomorrow.
We do have a report
Someone up there.
From our guy.
Larry Kilbetti is putting something together to get to the board before the Buildings and Grounds Committee, probably next week or this week. Because the Buildings and Grounds Committee is until the end of the month. So he will have an update, but it is my understanding that as far as construction goes, we are on schedule. The asbestos abatement should be complete. The additional asbestos abatement that needed to take place after some demo, which there is a change order on the agenda for tonight to approve the additional work that needed to take place. But that should be complete. Foundations are being excavated for the additions on the project. So work is moving along as scheduled.
And there is a committee, there's a construction meeting tomorrow.
Yes, sir, at 2:00.
Yeah. If you do this right, so you can get the administration to actually do your minutes for the so that's all I got. And then, so that's the update on Eisenhower. We have the change order that Jared mentioned. Based on recommendation of the administration, the board approves the change order with Candid Development for the amount of $22,450 for the removal of additional asbestos in Eisenhower Elementary.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion on that?
I do have a question. Do we think this is the final asbestos that we're going to find? Or is there still a chance that there's going to be more as the project moves forward?
No, this should be it. I mean, this was stuff that was found under unit ventilators that after they were tore out. After some of the walls were removed, some of the drain pipes that were coming down off the roof had asbestos around them. So hopefully this should be it.
There's not much left to discover over there. It's pretty stripped back.
Yeah.
Demo is pretty much done at this point, so there really shouldn't be anything else we find.
Oh, and it's certainly not, we don't expect to see any more asbestos because they looked again at the whole thing to make the report and then to get this number
Yep.
together. So, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah, it shows up in the craziest places though, so, you just the metal windows, the putty that they put on the glass and the old factory windows has asbestos in it. Some of the caulking on the roof around the drains has asbestos in it, so it'll show, but hopefully we've got it all tested now and it's all removed.
There's really not, other than the brick walls, there's really not a whole lot left that I can right now. And most of those walls are gone too.
And who knows, they put asbestos in the mortar. Okay, so it's been moved in second to accept this change order. Further questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, and motion carries.
Then motion 7.4, Act 7.8 hearing. The board authorized administration and solicitor to make preparations for a potential Act 7.8 hearing concerning Horace Mann Elementary School.
Moved in second on that. So I did kind of address the issue in general in my board president's message. Ron, at this point in time, I'd like you to address the board and the community as to why it's necessary and some of the ins and outs and how this would actually unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quite a process that takes a lot of time at minimum. The 780 hearing, even to authorize myself and the superintendent, we have to have an advertisement no later than 15 days before our 780 hearing. So for instance, if you pass a resolution on the 22nd and set February 7th, that's as early as you'd be able to do a 780 hearing. That just starts the process. From there, you have a 90-day cooling off period or 3-month cooling off period before the board could ever even remotely consider making other arrangements, closing it, whatever alternative arrangements that you guys may look at. And during that process, I will tell you, I've done this multiple times over the years. And we've seen everything happen from, making it a different host to different students. We've seen it close. We've seen it continue to stay open. We've seen it as alternative placements and things of that nature. So again, boards really have let the pathway be determined by some of the information that's gathered from those separate committees and most importantly from the community. So at the 780 hearing, essentially you'd present here's a couple options you could look at. Again, you cannot vote on it until that 3-month cooling off period.
But you can have discussions and gather information about various plans, options, or what have you
Absolutely.
during that 90-day period. You just can't vote on a particular decision.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, I actually have suggested to my other boards to have a reoccurring motion, or I'm sorry, a reoccurring item for discussion so that the community can come and continue to say, hey, here's an idea, because you want community input. So I've actually suggested that in other districts where, every month for that 90-day or 3-month cooling off period, it was really an agenda item to say, hey, where are we? What did we decide? What does it look like for options? Again, it may not host, 4 and 5, maybe it hosts 6, 7, or whatever it's built. Again, I don't know that, whatever it's built for. So again, we've done that. We did it over at Shippensburg. We went through the entire process, and at the end, the board decided not to close that building down based on some of the feedback that they got. So it really is a process that's made to slow everything down so you can make the best decision possible. And by the way, the 3 months is the minimum. If for any reason you decide you need another month, you don't have to vote after 3 months. You can take as much time as possible, but you can do no less than the 3 months. So.
Ron, is there a time where that expires? Like we might not be able to get we might not be able to repurpose that building until next summer, not this coming summer, but the summer after that. If we hold that Act 780 hearing in February, can we wait for an entire year?
You can. Yeah, you absolutely. And I've seen boards do it where, again, they were in the middle of a renovation project where they shut down 3 elementary schools, but they built a much larger elementary school to house all the students. So we've seen that happen.
Smart idea.
Like I said, at Kiski, we did it where we shut down 3 different buildings so that we could renovate all the other buildings. So we took almost a year and a half before they actually made a decision moving forward. They made the decision. The closure wasn't for almost a year and a half after that. So, and again, we submit the PDE. They do not require approval any longer. They do require notification. Their only time period is whenever you close the building, you have to give professional staff and support staff at least 60 days notice if there are going to be any changes whatsoever. So again, and I will be honest, there could be furloughs, things of that nature. That's always something the board has to discuss. So you need no less than 60 days to notify those staff members. Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board for Ron?
And again, a part of that discussion would be working with the local boroughs and looking at their plans and things of that nature as well.
So did you have anything else? You said you deferred your solicitor.
No, that was it.
Okay.
I
I did reach out to the new chairman of the Borough Council, Luke Fazio. Deviser. And I also spoke with Peter Broad and mentioned to them that this motion was going to be on the agenda tonight as part of that outreach to just keep the local borough council informed as to what the board was going to consider.
And to be clear, this motion does nothing more than ask me to put the resolution on for the 22nd. It doesn't even take action to pass this, to move on the 780 hearing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And part of the reasoning for this is, again, to generate the public awareness that the newspaper and the radio station will report on this. One of the issues that you have anytime you start down one of these paths is there always seems to be a feeling that maybe the general public didn't know that something like this was going on. And this just gives us another opportunity so that the public is aware that we are going to have these discussions. Okay? Any other questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Quintina?
Yes.
Okay, are you in approval of the?
Yes.
You are? Okay, thank you. Then the motion passes. Okay. Audit and Finance, Julia.
Thank you, Walter. We did not have a meeting tonight. And the members of the committee will be Chris and Doug. So thank you. It'll be a good committee. Typically, we would have, our next meeting is going to be on the 22nd of January at 5:30. Jared's our liaison, of course. Will the auditor be present at that
She will,
meeting?
yes.
So that's an important meeting because the auditor comes in and then we go over the report and she usually gives us a snapshot, which is very helpful of the key highlights of the year. It's very good. Typically, we have a motion right around this year that on the current bills. Jared sent out full schedules of all the bills. I typically ask him after I make the motion to say if there's anything wildly out of whack on those bills. I looked them over pretty carefully. I highly recommend the first report that was on tonight because it really gives you an idea of our cash flow and where we are on every item of the budget. It's a terrific report. I forget what you call it, but it's that short.
The budget
report.
summary.
No, is that?
Oh, the
It's
treasurer's
from-
report?
It was only from December 1st through to date.
There's a budget summary usually in every month's packet, and then there's a treasurer's report.
I guess it was the budget summary, but it was shorter period. It was just covering.
Yeah, there was a budget summary, that's right, covering December 5th to
Yeah.
January
That's a
8th.
great report. Really gets you oriented for the committee. So I have only one motion tonight, and that's the approval of bills. And so I move that the current bills be approved as submitted.
Second.
Moved in second. Question on the current bills?
Jared, do you see anything that's entirely?
No, the only thing to draw really to the board's attention is we're starting to get some pretty sizable bills for the construction project. If you're seeing that, there'll be to Rennick Brothers, J.C. Orr, McCrossan, and K&K Plumbing will be, or the four major contractors that you'll be seeing sizable bills. J.C. Orr will be the largest, is the general contractor, and they hold almost a $15 million contract for Eisenhower, but everything else is pretty standard on there.
So for our next committee meeting, you'll start a matrix so we can see where we are in terms of what we have on reserve and then how we're spending down.
For the construction project? Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're down to closing. There are no discussion items that I'm aware of.
Or I'd submitted one.
Oh, okay, go
I
ahead.
don't know why I didn't make it.
Because I wanted to, I'm sorry, I thought, go ahead, but we were going to talk about it at Buildings and Grounds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But by all means.
so I submitted to have, so what I want to look at is have the building and grounds group, or committee, I should say, look into the personalization of senior parking spots. And basically what that would mean is that it would allow high school seniors the ability to tastefully decorate or paint their parking spot. There's a lot of schools that do that now. It's a way for students to connect with their schools and really celebrate their senior year, with a relaxing project. A lot of times they do it before the school year. Again, I think more and more schools are doing this. I brought it up to Rob and he goes, "Oh, we did that for my daughter," and painted her place. So I think it's really low cost, very limited. And it just, I think it makes seniors feel good about their experience. You can see what they're interested in. And I think there's a lot of different ways that, we can use it for a plus, improving the climate and culture of the school and really giving students ownership. So I'd like for the Buildings and Grounds Committee to look into that.
We tried to do that probably 10 years ago, but what we were told was they do the spots by sports season. So there's a fall, winter, and spring. So there's not enough spots for all the kids that want to drive. So every sports season, you go into the pool to be able to get a parking spot. So they don't have a single spot all year long. So I don't know. Is that still the same, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, that's why we're going to discuss it at the Buildings and Grounds. We'll dig into all that and how
I think we can make it work.
Yeah, we tried it. Yeah, but there was a lot more kids back then too.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously why it needs to go to Tom's committee to kind of ferret all that out. I'm sure there's
Sorry,
gonna
I
be
told you
some,
beforehand.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know.
I'm sure there has to be some rules on what is considered tasteful, decoration, and timing and so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so just a final note on that. So I know a lot of schools will have where students submit like their design ideas so that they can be approved, so that way there's like, limited surprises. And, I think they're given like a couple days, 2 to 3 days to paint the spot at one time of the year. So, yeah, I just like to get that moving. So we can,
Armstrong's the closest school that does that. They do
Yeah.
a nice job.
yeah,
Very good, Chris.
thanks.
Okay, is there any public comment on agenda items? Hearing none. We had some enclosures. We had an executive session. Ron, if you would please comment on our executive session.
Yes, President. It was an update on the Eisenhower litigation claim and the student disciplinary agreements that show up on the agenda that was voted on by the board.
Thank you, sir. Our next board meeting will be a special board meeting on January the 22nd at 7 p.m. to discuss general purposes. For those of you who have a printed agenda, there is a correction. The outreach committee will actually meet on the 15th instead of the 14th. Academic also on extracurricular at that same date at 5:30. And audit and finance on the 22nd at 5:30 as well.
And are we still meeting this Wednesday, those who can to?
Yeah, we're gonna have the tour of the Ideal program. Can we confirm what time it is one more time?
1 o'clock, I believe.
I think it's 1.
That sounds right.
Are we just meeting at the office, the high school office?
Yeah, if you go to the high school office and check in, and then we'll gather there, we'll head down to the front door.
We'll have to buzz in.
Into the main office.
Upper common.
Right.
You gotta buzz in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
If any board members who want to walk through Eisenhower tomorrow at 2, come a little bit early. And we'll try to get that arranged.
I don't know anything about that. Do I?
Jared, is
Just a minute here. So Jared mentioned earlier that there was going to be a construction meeting at Eisenhower.
Okay.
Okay, and I think what Tom is offering is for the board, any board members who wants to look at the progress for themselves to come beforehand. Is that what you're getting
I
at?
think you'd like to report it, Bill, just to see so they can see.
We are having a separate meeting from 1 to 2 to discuss an issue. So we can try and be done by then. To talk about the valves on the heating system.
Yeah, I thought that we could just take a walk through, but we probably need helmets and everything else. So.
And we can, I don't know that it would be available to take, I don't want board members just going around without somebody,
Well, then,
either the construction manager or somebody to take them around.
then let's delay it till another time that we can schedule it, Tom.
Yeah, we meet every 2 weeks. If we have some headway or some notice.
Yeah, I
can make that happen.
would like to make that available. So
Yep,
if we-
absolutely.
If we can get that scheduled. And let's pick a really cold day.
Let's pick a watch.
All day. Something like a.
Just to the committee meeting. Yep.
Okay, so the question I have for the board members is Wednesday at
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Are there any board members that want that tour that can't make that time frame?
I may be late. I'm in Punxsutawney for meetings in the morning, client meetings, so I'm gonna try to get back by 1.
Okay,
If not, we can always arrange it.
yeah, if not, I will make other arrangements.
I'm gonna try to I gotta make some changes to my schedule. Right now, I don't have the time, but I'm gonna try to make it.
Okay,
Yep, and if not, we can.
And I won't be available, but I want to attend.
okay.
Sounds like
So if we've got 3, maybe 4 people that can't do it,
We'll pick another
we'll
day.
pick another day and do it again.
Sounds good.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Careful out there, more high wind advisory.